This conference will now be
A
recorded.
partir de ahí, pues, podremos compartir un ratito con Marceline. Vamos a compartirlo en inglés para aquellos que se unen también desde Portugal y para que Marceline nos entienda también, aunque sabe ya las cosas buenas de España. Good morning, everyone, and thank you once again for joining us in another one Thursday in our webinar. Today, we have the pleasure to enjoy with Marceline Paul, our Vice President from Uga Escapes, to lead this amazing presentation and to know a little bit more about our 5 properties in Sri Lanka. So, Marceline, welcome, and thank you,
Alberto.
So, when you want, you can start. Thank you.
Good morning to you all to Spain and Portugal. Yeah, I don't know if many of you have actually been to Sri Lanka, but or to any of the Uga properties, but I'll give you a bit of a presentation of our properties, as well as hopefully a little bit of insight to the destination or where each of these properties are really located. Please keep your list of questions to the end, and myself and Alberto will be more than happy to answer them. So Uga Escapes really been in existence for close to 8 years now. So we have currently 5 hotels in the portfolio. So our first property was Uga, which is in the Cultural Triangle. It's roughly about 20 minutes south of Anuradhapura, which was the first capital of Sri Lanka. It's also close to Sigiriya Rock, roughly about 40 minutes. So a very prominent location where you would send clients. And then we have 2 properties on the east coast of the country, which is Jungle Beach towards Trincomalee, and Uga Bay towards Pasikuda. Then we opened up Residence, which is in the city of Colombo, the capital, so roughly about half an hour from the international airport. And the last property that we opened up was in the deep south, so in the Yala National Park, which is Chena Huts, which is very much a safari lodge or safari experience. Just to give you a little bit of a story about Uga itself, we're really a homegrown luxury brand, and the idea is to really put our footprint in some of the key areas in the country where you can do, and hopefully down the line you can do a complete round trip within the Uga portfolio. So I'll tell you about our first hotel, which is Uga. It's really 25 villas, but it's spread across 60 acres of land, which is very unusual to have a property with this much space. So you have really lots of privacy and seclusion when you stay here. Something you will see is the vast amount of landscape gardens that we have here, which is very different from some of the other properties you have in the Cultural Triangle. This gentleman is our oldest staff member, but he's from the local village, so he's quite a character, and he's generally someone you will always meet at the property, but it's generally a person some of our guests like to keep in touch with even. So Uga, this is the main picture of the main building, but this main building only has the restaurant on the upper floor, and which overlooks the main swimming pool, and the ground floor has really the library and the restaurant and the bar. So this is a closer look at the ground floor of the main building, which we call the Walawa. So this building is over 150 years old, which we really restored. And then I'll move on, and I like to show you our villas. I would say easily the most luxurious villas in the Cultural Triangle. We are also the only property in the Cultural Triangle with private pools in all our villas. So even from the entry-level category, you have private pools. And in terms of, one reason I like to show you this picture is you can see the lush foliage or the greenery that surrounds each villa. So We don't have boundary walls between each villa. It's just lush green foliage that gives you the privacy. So about 2 years ago, we renovated all the villas. So this is the new look and feel. So it's very luxurious, but at the same time, we try to incorporate the local architectural feel into these properties. So these each of these villas are roughly 1,800 square feet with the indoor and outdoor spaces, but it has its own living area where you can even dine. And you can see these are the new bathrooms as well that we've redone at Ulla. This is the private pool of our 2-bedroom unit, which is called the Nikavava Villa. So it overlooks the main, all the paddy fields. It's really a spectacular villa, great for families because of the 2-bedroom feature, but it has a lot of space, great living area and dining area, and large deck area even to have your own private barbecues. This is the highest category, our deluxe pool villa. So we have just 5 of these. These were developed roughly about just over a year and a half ago. The reason we developed these is generally Sri Lanka is a great destination for families. And in a lot of times, most of our accommodation doesn't suit the family market as well. So when we developed these villas, one particular thing was we built a second full bathroom, which is at the end of the property. But what you can see in this villa, which is fantastic, is it has a huge private pool, but it also has a huge deck area. So a number of times, most of the guests sometimes even don't come to the main restaurant or to really dine. They might even dine in their own villas. So this is a closer look of that villa. And at the end, at the far left, you can see the second bathroom. Then you have the living and dining area and the master bedroom. And a closer look at the area, the deck area of the private pool. For those of you who haven't been to Sri Lanka, I would say this location, or where the cultural triangle is located, you generally stay about 3 days, sorry. That's the general, I would say, time spent in this particular destination. You can see the villas are very luxurious. My favorite place in this villa is actually the bathroom. Yeah, great amount of space, and you can actually head out straight from the bathroom into the pool area from here. This is a closer look at the living area. So this living area is also potentially the area that we convert into the second bedroom. So we would place 2 extra beds in this living area if your clients had, for example, 2 children. And attached to this in the background, you'll see the mirror in the back. That's where actually the full second bathroom is. So potentially the children don't have to come into the master bathroom. We also developed, since clients were staying around 3 nights, we developed a second dining option. It's called the Kamatha restaurant. It's really very much a traditional Sri Lankan restaurant, but its location is fantastic. It's in the middle of the paddy fields. I'm just going to attempt to show you a quick video of the location and the restaurant. Okay, so that was a closer look at the Kamatha restaurant. We also have our own organic garden. So a lot of our produce, whether it's rice, number of our fruits and vegetables, are sourced from our own organic garden. We also, I would say, one of our popular experiences is actually a cooking demonstration with our executive chef. So this is a place, Alberto has even done some cooking. What's also nice with Ulagalla, as I mentioned, it's on 60 acres of land. So you have the choice of either taking our electric buggies, or each of the villas have their own bikes. So you can actually cycle around the estate, whether you want to even cycle to the main restaurant for dining, or you can even we have cycle trails around the property. So you can actually cycle close to the local reservoir, so which is quite popular. As I mentioned, because the land is so spread out, great locations to have sometimes your afternoon tea or picnics and stuff like that. And then just to tell you a little bit more of the location. So most of you have probably sent clients to the area of where Sigiriya is located. So what's great with the location of this property is we're really close to a number of major sites. So number one is Anuradhapura, which was the first capital of the country. So we're only about 20 minutes to half an hour from there. We're also close to Vilpattu National Park, which is our biggest national park. So it'll take you roughly around 45 minutes. So I would recommend clients, for example, who don't have the opportunity to go to the Yala National Park in the south, to potentially go to Vilpattu National Park in the northwest part of the country. We also have Min area, which is roughly about 45 minutes away, which is known for having the largest elephant gathering in the world. And then obviously Sigiriya and Dambulla. So these are some of the temples in Anuradhapura, close to Ulagalla. And also sometimes the way we do our excursions, for example, are quite different. So in Anuradhapura, there's 11 prominent temples. So sometimes we won't take you to all those temples. Sometimes in a destination like Sri Lanka, you can get a little bit templed out. So we'll take you to a few of the key ones, and usually we do it on bikes. So which is quite popular way of experiencing Anuradhapura. Sigiriya Rock, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You can generally climb Sigiriya Rock. I would say it's one of the biggest attractions in and around this part of the country. So these are some of the paintings in Sigiriya. Then we have, as I mentioned, main area for one of the largest elephant gatherings. And just before I go on, in terms of Ulagalla, I would say it's definitely positioned as the more premier property in the cultural triangle. Generally, we have some really great offers in place, but depending on the time of the year, just to give you an idea on price point, it could vary from say $250 in low season to super peak festive around $750. Still, I think it's really good value for money when comparing it even to destinations like the Maldives. Sri Lanka still hasn't really peaked in terms of its rates, so it's still a great time for clients to visit Sri Lanka before prices gradually start to go up. Then moving on to the east coast of the country, as I mentioned, we have two properties, so one of which is Jungle Beach. One thing very important on selling the east coast of the country is knowing when the best time of the year to go. So Jungle Beach or the east coast is best between March to September. So during your December, January, November, December, January particularly is the monsoons on the east. So that's why I always tell clients it's best to go between March and September. Jungle Beach, very very different sort of property. It really, like the name suggests, it's built into the jungle right on the beach. We have a lagoon on one side of the property, which you can see at the bottom, and then the sea on the other. And you can see the lush foliage in and around the property. So when we built the property, I think only like 2 trees were cut. The rest of it was really just shrub that we had trimmed. This is the restaurant and bar area. So very rustic sort of resort in terms of the theme. And then these are the typical cabins that we have. So all individual units spread out. So again, you have lots of privacy and seclusion here. These are the typical bathrooms. So you have your his and her basins. You have the outdoor showers, which are fantastic. So again, it almost gives you a little bit like a safari lodge sort of feel when you're at Jungle Beach. So these are the typical interiors of the cabins. We also have our highest room type is a jungle cabin, so which you have 3 individual units which share one pool. So this is also quite a popular room type. We also have a new beach restaurant, so greatly positioned. So in your afternoon to have your gin and tonics or your beers, it's a fantastic place to be. And also one thing very different, for those of you who have been to Sri Lanka before, you'll realize most of you have probably done the south or west coast, where you will generally see the beach hotels, the sea itself, you have big waves and strong undercurrents. The difference here on the east coast is in season, the waters are very flat. So it's really more accessible, or gives you the opportunity to really swim in the sea, whereas in the south or west coast, it can be a little bit tricky. In terms of its location, there's quite a lot of things to do in and around Jungle Beach. So it doesn't have to be just a flop on the beach. So you can be quite active here. So one of the big things to do around Trincomalee, I would say, is the whale watching, dolphin and whale watching. So we actually have our own boats that will take you out for the experience. We also can take you to Pigeon Island for snorkeling. Alberto says it's almost as good as the Maldives, so I believe in him in that. So it's a great place. I would say one of the more popular snorkeling destinations in the country. We also have Kokilai Bird Sanctuary, which is well known for the flamingos, which is also seen probably more towards May and June. And Trincomalee City is also quite interesting, which has one of the largest deep sea natural harbors. So we do a number of tours in this area, so it doesn't have to be just a beach day when you or flop on the beach when you come here. So obviously the whales you can see, which I mentioned, yeah, this is just to give you an indication of the beach right in front of the resort. So it's very different to that south or west coast, really flat waters. So great for families and stuff like that. Some of the temples that you can go and see in the area as well. Yeah, so someone definitely, I would say, if you're choosing one of the beach hotels, I would say Jungle Beach is perfect for someone who wants a little bit more adventure. Then we have Uga Bay, which is also on the East Coast. So just to give you an idea, from the Cultural Triangle to get to the East Coast will take you roughly 2 hours. So it's not a long drive or tedious drive. It's actually very much open roads because there's no major cities towards that part of the country. But where Uga Bay is located, so this is Uga Bay, 48 keys here, but this location in Pasikuda is known for having the best beach in the country. When we say best beach, again, the sand is a lot whiter and the waters are very flat. So I always say Uga Bay or Pasikuda generally is great for someone who can't afford the Maldives but wants a great beach holiday. Here's just a quick video of the beach of Uga Bay. So that's just a small video. So really something quite, Uga Bay is very different to Jungle Beach. You would have noticed from the pictures, Jungle Beach is quite rustic, whereas Uga Bay is a lot more contemporary and modern. So this is actually your arrival experience in the night. So the little lights you see in the ceiling of the entrance, those are actually fiber optic lighting, which the idea is to replicate the stars in the sky. And in terms of the accommodation, you can see quite different to Jungle Beach. As I mentioned, more contemporary and modern. Again, I would say the accommodation, our rooms are the biggest in the area in terms of an entry category room. We have 2 family suites as well, both with their own private pools. So this is the Bay Suite. This is part of the beach villa, which is right on the beach. Much larger pool, living and dining area, and you're few meters away from the sea, really, when you're staying here. So again, great for families. We have quite a prominent beach bar as well, so you can have shisha and stuff like that. But you can see by the sand or whatnot, it's very white, flat waters. So yeah, ideal for someone who wants a fantastic beach holiday. We also do a number of destination dinings. So one of our popular ones is the sand dining. So great for honeymoon couples and stuff like that. I suppose this is something that's fairly popular in the Maldives, but we're really the only hotel in this area that does this. In terms of location, I would say it doesn't have as many activities to do like Jungle Beach. So it's really the water sports and diving, which are the 2 popular things to do in this area. So in terms of diving, you have HMS Hermes, which was sunk in World War II. So what you're seeing here is actually a tanker that was sunk in World War II. But you have a number of other quite famous shipwrecks off the coast of Pasikuta. So if your client's interested in diving, there's some good shipwrecks to go to off this coast. In terms of snorkeling, though, to be very honest, Pasikuta is probably not the best. So for clients who are interested in snorkeling, I would say staying at Jungle Beach and doing Pigeon Island would be better. And also off the coast of Pasikuta, Uga Bay, during season, you have the catamarans and the yachts that operate. So you can do sunset cruises and stuff like that in the evenings as well. Then moving on to residence, which is in the capital city of Colombo. So residence is actually just 11 suites. Again, this property over 140 years old, but beautiful architecture. So it's a building that we have really restored. So you can see the main swimming pool in the main building, but it's a very charming restaurant, charming hotel, but with also some nice atmosphere. It's a great location. So in a very prominent part of Colombo, where I would say one of the big USPs of this property is you can actually kind of walk around the area feeling very safe, in the sense about 100 meters or 200 meters away, there's a private road with restaurants and bars. So from French cuisine to your gelatos, to your Thai, to your French, you name it, it's all there. Maybe other than Spanish food, everything else, I think more or less is in that strip. So if you're on a stopover in Colombo and just want 1 or 2 nights, I would say residence location is one of the big USPs for the property. Also, each of the suites, very large, all have their little courtyard. It also has its living area. This is kind of the lobby as you come through. We also have a fantastic restaurant and bar called Rare. So you have options to dine in or out. We do accept outsiders to dine as well in the restaurant. So you will have a nice feel in the restaurant in terms of atmosphere, whether it's locals or expats also dining or having drinks in the bar. So this is a closer look at the main restaurant and the bar. So this is where Alberto spends most of his time.
It's true.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Chena Huts. So yeah, Chena Huts, it's just 14 luxury cabins. It's located in the Yala National Park. And this national park particularly is very popular. It's really known for having the highest density of leopards in the world. So that's why its popularity. Chena Huts, this is an aerial view of the property. So again, as you can see, lots of privacy and seclusion, and it's created by the lush foliage it's on. So this property is on 7 acres of land, and it just has 14 units. So I would say compared to our closest comp set, one big difference would be its privacy and seclusion, because we've only put 14 cabins here. We're also the only luxury operator in the Yala area with private pools to all the cabins. I'll just give you a small video of Chena Huts as well. So this is from the restaurant. So this will give you an idea of the surroundings. So I would say that one of the key USPs again for Chena Huts is its location. So you can see we're not located where most of the other hotels in the Yala stretch are. And we actually border the national park. We actually border the national park from the south. In terms of the cabins, again, I would definitely say we have the largest cabins in the Yala area. So in these cabins, you could easily put 2 kids in here with 2 rollover beds. There's plenty of room in these cabins. So compared to some of our comp set, you don't have to take a separate room. You can have your children with you in your cabin. And again, you can see in the distance the private pool. So if you're not on your safari, you could be enjoying time in your own private pool. Something very different I should have mentioned at the start is we operate the Chena Huts like Safari Lodge in Africa. So it's on all-inclusive basis. So premium beverages. And when I say premium beverages, like sometimes you go to Africa, you might spend, I don't know, $1,000 a night. But here we're giving Hendrick's gin, single malt whiskeys. So it's really good value for money. And then we include 2 safaris a day, a morning and evening safari. One reason we do that is we have our own naturalist. And I would say most of our naturalists have done their training even in Africa. So your safari experience would be, I would say, far better than doing it with some of the other hotels or DMCs in the area. Another small video I think I have here, that's Alberto getting into the pool. So you can see the surroundings are fantastic. So we have sometimes guests that might sometimes even skip the safari and just enjoy time in their own private pool and stuff like that. You have the main swimming pool as well, and the spa when you're in your afternoons when you have time. And what's unique here is really the restaurant and bar. It's right on the beach, so which is very unusual to have a safari lodge right on the beach. These are the vehicles that we use for the safaris. Again, maximum of 5 clients in a safari jeep. Actually, now with the new COVID regulations, it's actually going to be now 4 in a vehicle maximum. And you can see from these pictures, the location is really stunning. It's kind of the place to be. It's very unusual to have a location which is so untouched. So one of the, as I mentioned, the popular sightings is obviously the leopard, but also the sloth bear and the elephants, I would say, are the other popular animals to see in the area. So yeah, the sloth bear, particularly May and June, is probably the better time to see it when it comes for the pollen season. Yeah, and what we do is in the evenings we do sundowners on the beach. So when you finish your evening safari, we drive you along the beach. We stop right in front. You have your sundowners, and then only you go back to the resort to refresh and come back for dinner. Just something to note, even though we're right in front of the beach, this beach is not swimmable. It's too rough to swim in. So it's great. We do have sunbeds and all out, so you can sunbathe, dip your feet in the sea, but you can't swim in this. That's kind of it for me for the moment, and hopefully if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Muy bien, muchísimas gracias, Marceline. Thank you very much, Marceline, for your amazing presentation. Pues estamos abiertos a cualquier tipo de pregunta. ¿Quién no quiere viajar a Sri Lanka en estos momentos, no? ¿Nadie? ¿Ninguna pregunta? Marceline, we have one question from Maria Ribeira from Bontour. So
Okay.
the question is, how far is Uga Bay from the nearest airport?
You're roughly 20 minutes away from, so good question actually. So Uga Bay and Jungle Beach both have domestic airports, each of the cities, and they're both roughly 20 minutes to half an hour away from both domestic airports. You can actually take a seaplane journey from Colombo to the East Coast. It'll take roughly 40 minutes by seaplane, and the cost, just to give you an idea, is probably about $220 per person on a seaplane. What I would suggest though is some people to go from Colombo to the Cultural Triangle. Cultural Triangle will take you roughly 3.5 hours to 4 hours, and then from the Cultural Triangle you go to the East Coast, which will take you 2 hours, and then you could either fly back to Colombo or you can make your journey back through Kandy and along the round trip.
Thank you very much, Marceline. Qué bien. ¿Alguna pregunta más?
I saw, is there possible to offer self-drive? Is there option motorbike, horse riding excursions? Self-drive, I suppose, is available, but yeah, I wouldn't really recommend. I don't know. Sometimes I feel it's not as crazy as India, but it's not the easiest also. But however, now these days you have Google Maps and stuff to get around, so you could, if you are very adventurous, you could do it. In terms of excursions, I would say Ulagalla particularly has a number of excursions. So we do have horse riding at Ulagalla. We also do a village cycle tour at Ulagalla, which is very popular. So we take you through the local village and to a temple, which has a fantastic view. And in most cases, the priest there would come and do a bit of a blessing. So I would say in terms of excursions, I think within the property or surrounding it, particularly Ulagalla and Jungle Beach, and of course Chena Huts for the safaris.
We have another question, Marceline, from Maite Redondo.
Yeah, which is the best season to stay at Chena Huts in terms of spot? Really, I would say Chena Huts or Yala area is more or less a year-round destination. A lot of people ask us because the leopard is known to have, well, Yala is supposed to have the highest density of leopards. Is it guaranteed or whatnot? I would say in most cases, if a client does 2 safaris a day for 2 nights, there's almost, I would say, a good 70 to 80% chance of them seeing it. But in some cases, for example, you might see the sloth bear, which is more unusual, and might not see the leopard. But because of the high density of leopards, sometimes even the road that exits the property heading towards the national park, we have sometimes seen leopards. So so in general, I would say it's pretty year round, and I would say the possibilities of seeing animals are quite high. There's only 2 months of the year which the main national park block is closed. So the Yala National Park is broken up into 5 blocks. So where we operate, or where we are the closest to, is block 1. That block 1, generally they close in September and October to really rest the park. So at that time of the year, we actually operate to block 5. I say sometimes that is also a good time to go, because generally there's less vehicles in the national park. And block 5, generally, I would say we would charge an exclusive fee to go into block 5. And block 5 generally is known for having the better foliage or surrounding areas where you can stop by and have a picnic by the river and stuff like that. So generally, I would say Chena Huts is very much a year-round destination.
It's true, completely true. ¿Alguna pregunta más? Okay, Marceline, looks that everything is very clear. So before finish, I would like to ask you, you have something else, some surprise for us?
Yes, so thank you all for taking part in the webinar, for me taking up your time today, this afternoon or this morning. I'm giving a 5-night prize. So I'm giving 1 night at residence, 2 nights at Ulagalla, and another 2 nighs at Jungle Beach as part of the prize for taking time to be with us.
Tenemos un super premio. So Marceline, in the last weeks, we usually offer us to choose one number in between the total of the number of the attendees. So I would like to propose you to choose one number between number 1 and 60.
And 60. Okay. 25.
25. So number 25, the prize goes to José Luis Revestido de Viajes Andrómeda. Enhorabuena.
Yo, muchas gracias, Alberto.
Wow.
Great.
Thank you for that stunning prize. This is a stunning opportunity to visit Sri Lanka, and I hope to enjoy this trip as soon as possible.
Yeah. Have you been to Sri Lanka before?
No, still not.
Oh, excellent.
It's on my list.
Great.
Pues
Great.
muchísimas felicidades, José Luis.
Muchas gracias.
Super premio.
So we will share with you the voucher.
Qué bien. Qué
No,
bien.
thank you very much.
A todos los presentes, deciros siempre que tengáis la oportunidad de conocer. José, te voy a pedir, si eres tan amable, creo que se me acopla con tu micrófono. José Luis. Ahora, deciros a todos los presentes, muchas gracias, José Luis, que si en alguna ocasión tenéis la oportunidad de viajar a Sri Lanka, por favor, hacernos partícipes de vuestro viaje, que desde Uga, con la ayuda de Marcelin, siempre intentaremos apoyaros en el número de noches posibles y en el número de puntos en los que vosotros vayáis a transitar donde estén las propiedades de Uga. So, before leave, do you want to say something else, Marcelin?
No, I think just to give you an idea of what's happening in Sri Lanka at the moment. So the international airport is actually due to open on the 1st of August. This government is still finalizing the measures that to take place to enter the country. So I think in the upcoming weeks, we'll get a better indication of what policies will need to be take place to arrive into the country. We have actually put our special offers out already to all the DMCs, so you can get our best rates from your offers from the DMCs. Of course, we decided to open our properties towards the latter part of the year. We're opening Uga Bay and Chena Huts in December, and the East Coast in February. The reason for that is the monsoons on the East Coast start in October, so we thought it's not really worth opening up at this stage. So that was one of the reasons for not really opening up the East Coast till later. But we're doing also a lot of refurbishments and enhancements at each of the hotels. In fact, Chena Huts, we're putting in a new restaurant and bar and kitchen. So we're taking this time as well to really enhance each of the properties and ensure when clients do come back, they get the best possible experience. So we have some great offers if you book from now till I think end of the year. Sometimes you get free full board, some properties even up to 50% off. So this is the time, I think, to make the most of getting your bookings in early. But anytime you have you need any assistance or any questions, whether booking through your DMCs or tour operators, don't hesitate to reach out to obviously Alberto and his team, or even get in touch with me. So thank you very much for your time again for this webinar. And for those of you who didn't win the prize, again, you can contact Alberto or myself. We're more than happy to offer industry rates for your visit. Thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you, Marcelin, for your amazing support to Spain and Portugal always, and to be present today in this super presentation. Y nada, agradeceros a todos una vez más vuestro tiempo y vuestra dedicación con nosotros en los webinars. Hoy va a ser hasta el momento vamos a hacer un parón con los webinars. Poquito a poco ya cada uno de vosotros estáis volviendo a vuestras rutinas normales. Las aperturas de las oficinas ya se están realizando desde el pasado lunes. Y quería daros las gracias en mi nombre, en el nombre de todo el equipo de Asis Consulting y en el nombre de todos y cada uno de los directores que nos han estado acompañando durante estos jueves por vuestro cariño, vuestro tiempo y hacer que estos jueves hayan sido muy especiales desde que empezó el confinamiento. Así que de corazón, muchas gracias. Esperamos haberos entretenido un ratito, apoyados, daros un poquito de valor sobre cada una de las propiedades y de corazón, pues muchísimas gracias. Así que nos veremos prontito, seguiremos contando cosas y nada más. Desearos un feliz jueves y seguimos en contacto para todo lo que podáis necesitar. Así que un beso de parte de todos. Feliz día. Hasta luego. Bye,
Thank you.
bye.